Are you sick of racing? Are you more interested in fitting your vehicle into the most difficult space possible? You are? Well, developers Happy Volcano have got a treat in store for you, and to make things even better, the game of your dreams is going to be available from day one on Xbox Game Pass. Who said it was all bad news these days? Join me as I power slide into the perfect parking position in the XboxEra review of You Suck at Parking. Boasting one of the simplest control schemes possible, this is a title that becomes very challenging very quickly. Driving a highly customizable little car around the cute cartoony islands that make up the various biomes and solving parking puzzles is the name of the game here. Islands each contain landmarks made up of 5 different levels. The first level contains a small number of parking spaces to be mastered, and this number builds as you work your way through each one to complete the landmark. Completion of levels awards players with the number of parking spaces that they have beaten or unlocked, and levelling up points, as well as numerous car customization options. Perfecting levels by completing them with the same number of cars as the number of parking spaces will open up Mastery Islands later in the game. Simple, right? Well, no, all is not as simple as this premise sounds. Each level is played against a set time limit which can only be extended by parking a car successfully in an allocated space. And although a generous set number of cars are available to you in each level, think of them as lives, they have numerous restraints placed upon them. Cars have no reverse gear. Indeed, if you go into the menu for the control scheme, it says reversing is for the weak, meaning that if you drive into something, you're done, your journey is over. If a car comes to a complete halt, it will never move again, and fuel is limited, so careful consideration has to be given to any routes driven, as running out of fuel means having to abandon the vehicle. Quick spawning of new cars is useful, especially with the clock counting down, but you can soon run out of them. If this wasn't tricky enough, the level designers have come up with all manner of environmental parameters to make map navigation even more difficult, as well as antagonists to try and stop you in your parking objectives. But more on that later. When you've defeated enough levels, giant cannons become available which will blast your car to the next island, and more landmark challenges. When the chain of islands has been well and truly parked, you have the opportunity to fire yourself to the next aptly named biome, such as the snowy Antarctica. See what they did there? And the difficulty increases within a totally different driving environment. Considering that controls consist of only acceleration, braking and steering, it is surprising how skilled a driver I felt I was able to become in a fairly short space of time. The little cars handle incredibly well. The puzzle aspects of each parking space mean that not only do you have to plan a route to each one within the realms of the restrictions of the car, for example fuel, you have to also work out how to get to each space, as things aren't always as they seem. At the start of each level, you're presented with a map showing the required destination of several cars. The randomness presented here can be quite puzzling at times, as some spaces are on islands only reachable from Evel Knievel style ramps or matter transporters, to name just a few of the various options I encountered. Working out where to go is made much easier by the addition of a handy track inspection tool, which allows players to zoom in and work out exactly how each route works. Having tried to ignore this option and wing it on more complicated tracks, I can assure you that it is worth your time to have a little look around, rather than waste your cars by driving them in the wrong direction. As I stated earlier, environmental parameters change driving conditions. Icy tracks make traversal particularly interesting, considering you're unable to brake and come to a complete stop. Many of the tracks have open areas that can easily be sailed straight off into the sea, as do the islands themselves. Collapsing floors, explosive rails, giant boxing gloves, swinging hammers, massive magnets and spiked traps are just a small number of the dangers built into tracks that must be avoided, on top of all the other challenges presented to you as a player. The developers have done a sterling job coming up with these ingenious challenges, but they must also have a bit of an evil streak. Just when it looks like things couldn't get any harder, they introduce antagonists to contend with. Detection devices will fire missiles at you if you get caught in their beams. Magnetic anti-shipping mines will track you en masse. Random traffic will block your way, or even worse, knock you off a parking space. And machines will turn you into a giant ice cube if not avoided, although it is satisfying to slide into a parking space in that state. One set of levels is based around police cars that will bust you for driving through unavoidable red lights. It's a great test of driving skill and dexterity to outrun them, or trick them into driving off a cliff, or get them to destroy themselves via environmental hazards. NWA Tip of the Hat Honk the Police certainly has to be the best level name in the game and made me chuckle. With over 100 campaign levels available from launch, the intention is for the game to evolve and adapt continually as time goes on with new content drops. Players who relish the challenge of improving completion times and getting into the top 10 rankings of maps on the leaderboard are going to love this experience. The same can be said for fans of difficult just one more try games. It can be frustrating at times, but fail, and fail again eventually results in the satisfaction of completing a level perfectly. The big question is, do you complete the easy spaces first or leave them until last? The only genuinely glaring omission is the lack of an instant restart button to get that elusive perfect run, but it's a minor niggle. You simply press start and then hit restart. You get used to it pretty quick. Surprisingly, wrecked cars count when parked properly, and another touch I liked was the theme song, which repeats the mantra "You suck at parking" in a style reminiscent of the beginning of Rome by the B-52s. It's almost hypnotic and brings a feeling of calm to a potentially rage-inducing experience. Levels of car customization are surprisingly deep, and a parking pass will be available for those gamers who are interested. Over 50 multiplayer maps are available at release, however I was unable to test this for my review. Multiplayer party lobbies are delayed for the Xbox version, but it is possible to take part in 8-player online matches from release. You Suck at Parking is a refreshing addition to the racing puzzle genre, unlike any I have seen before. The controls are simple and the gameplay is accessible, but things soon develop into a far more complex challenge. For those who prefer gaming in short bursts, this could be a popular title far into the future, especially as the developers have promised much more content is still to come. What are you waiting for? Go park! Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this review, be sure to hit like, hit subscribe, and please ring that notification bell so that we can let you know when we've got some fresh content. And we'll see you next time.